Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, we've got Ojo, weight loss coach.
Yes.
Say your full name.
Josiah Ojofeitimi.
It's fucking good.
You say it now.
No. The journey of your weight loss.
Yeah.
Obviously, I met Rick and he said to me, I've known Rick. Rick Moylan, fucking love you. He said to me, you need to get Ojo on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? He goes, just let him tell your story. Can you tell me your story?
Yeah, of course I can. So I think it's, I remember when we met and you said, don't tell me anymore, come and tell me. So heaviest weight, October 2020, so lockdown. I'll start from the beginning of lockdown. I think a lot of people you probably had on start at lockdown. March, everything shut down. Was working from home. At the time, I lived in an apartment. Me and my missus, my son Lewis. He would have been, God, how old is he now? 6 at the time. So as you can imagine, the walls just got smaller and smaller. Nothing was open, but delivery was on. Everyone was baking cakes and crisps and cookies and all that stuff. So anyone that was out there, I was like, oh, I'll have that. So March till October 2020, just eating, not really moving, not even having to go into an office, no excuse to even have to do much in the day. And I walked to the shop, which was about, we'd say here to down there and back, it's 3-minute walk. And when I got back, my back was hurting, I was sweating, and I just thought, like, what's wrong with me? And I remember we had a full length mirror at the time, and I looked in it and I just thought, that's what's wrong with me. Do you know what I mean? How can I expect not to be to be all right? So sort of thought, right, need to do something about this. Jumped on Amazon, was thinking how much, I don't know how much I weigh, not weighed myself for years and years and years, but I thought, I don't know, something about 28 stone. So I was like, I'll just get the heaviest scale. So 33.5 stone was the biggest maximum capacity scale I could find. So I got that. Come the next day, so again opened it, got on the scale, and it said ERR. So I thought, shite these, they don't work, these scales. There's got to be something wrong with them. So Mrs. got back. She'd been out with the kids, only one at the time. I said, try them. She went, yeah, they're fine. I said, what do you mean they're fine? I said, is that what you weigh at your mum's when you've been at your mum's? She went, yeah. So I was like, she went, yeah, they're fine, they're good them, aren't they? I said, no, they don't work. So then I thought, stepped on them again, ERR. So then it kind of dawned on me then, like, I must weigh more than what this scale is. So then waited another week.
More than 33 stone?
This is the thing. So waited another week and then saw 33.6 a week later. So then that was when I was like, right, this is this has got to go. And then, just chipped away at it from then. So that was October 2020.
So before the 33.5 stone, you were 33.5 stone?
Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck me.
I know.
What were you before?
I'd say, because I've always been big, so growing up, the last time I remember having a scale weight was I went to the doctors when I was about 22, 23, so I'd say, 5-6 years prior to that, and I was 26 stone then, 27 stone, and then obviously years of boozing, going out, eating, not looking after myself at all, and then it's hard to know. I wish in hindsight I'd have known what I weighed at the start of lockdown. I'd imagine something like 28, 29 stone, ballooned right up because 6 months of doing now. And then, that was my heaviest weight. I say 33.5 stone, but it's probably more 33.10 because of the weight I'd have lost in the first week. So then that was when it started. And then I just then it was a relentless pursuit of losing weight. So I started out doing keto. Did that quite religiously for about 9 months, which worked really well for me because I think at the time I was in such bad habits with sugar and crisps, chocolate.
What were you doing as a job at that time?
So I was working for an insurance company then. So I was working at home in supplier management. So working at home, it was a stressful time, that COVID, because everything shut down and it was like, people still needed the cars fixing, people still needed, the cases running to court. So it was like, supplier management, what do we do? Who's doing what? Well, that person shut down, they're not open.
In your head at that time, has fitness ever come into play into your life at all? So, would you ever thought you were going to be a personal trainer, or
definitely not? And I think my experiences. So, as a kid, I was always taught. So now I'm about 6'4" but I was like, I've not grown much since I was about 15. So when I was a kid, I was really tall. So I played basketball as a kid, but I was that much bigger than everyone else at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like actual weight didn't matter. It wasn't a case of having to be fit. It was just a case of being the biggest and no one being able to get the ball, and me just sort of standing under the, like, something ET on a cartoon. And then it got to probably when I got to 13, 14, we had an American coach come, proper Coach Carter style. And he came and, like, similar to, like, was like, we're not touching the ball till everyone's fit. So then my mum's like, no, we don't do that here. Like, you know, we all enjoy it. They come here, they've been coming here for years type thing. And it was like, no, we're getting fit. You know what I mean? Like, these aren't little boys anymore. They need to get fit if they want to go to this next level. And then lo and behold, that's when I sort of started falling out of love with it, because I was like, what? I can't just get away with being tall anymore. And then kind of got a bit better at basketball from playing it for years. Went to basketball camp at Manchester Magic, John Amichi's basketball camp, and played with, and that's where I met people taller than me, fitter than me, younger than me, and I was like, oh, you can't get away with this of a good level. Didn't really touch any form of sport stopped playing at 14 until I went to sixth form at 16, so after school 16, and someone went, can you play rugby? Because I was a big guy then. I was like, I've never played it before, and he was like, come to rugby, we need someone like you. Played rugby, but again, just because of my size, was never really bothered about the fitness. Used to make excuses to not do the pre-season and just turn up hungover with 15 other lads on a Saturday and a Sunday and just play. So never really been something that I'd focused on. And then after that, I'd say for 5 or 6 years, when I'm in the depths of going out drinking, eating, doing what I want, gambling, going watching United everywhere around the world, that was probably, if you'd have said to me then, will there be a time where you coach people? I'd be like, no, it's cringy that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm not one of them, and it's all boring that, and just have a beer and get a burger down you. So that was, it's like it's who I became because it suited physically who I was. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's not who I was in myself, because I wouldn't be where I am now if that was the case. It's just my physical at the time suited that, being that guy. So it's like, I'll just be that guy. That's an easier guy to be. I'll just be, take the piss out of people, and why do you want to run? And even in that lockdown, when people started doing the 5Ks and going out, I'm like, what are you all doing that for? Just still stay at home and chill out. Like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, why would you go and do a run like that? And then it's come full circle now where I'm running 2 marathons this year. I'm going to do 1 Amsterdam marathon in October, raise money for that, and then I'm running Manchester next month as well. So it's like, in what is a short period of time, I've gone from that guy who'd be going, why would you want to go for a run in your spare time, have a beer, to now I'm excited to run 2 marathons. So it's a mad journey to summarise, I suppose.
Wow, mate.
Yeah.
Incredible that. It's almost like your purpose has found you, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You've been through them experiences too. So just talk to me about you're 33.10 stone, 33.7 stone.
Yeah.
You're on the scales. You got it.
Yeah.
Where does Ojo's egg go to? Does it go in the bin, depression, or does it go, fucking, I'm going to get this shit sorted?
Yeah, that's what clicked in. And I think that, and I have this still now with clients and that age-old thing, that if you could bottle that fucking hell, let's get this sorted and sell it, I'd be a billionaire. Well, I'd be sailing off into the sunset. But it was just that, I think for me, it was seeing the number and then, oh my God, that's not only embarrassing, but it's unfathomable. Like, when I say the number, like, your original, exactly. And at that point, I'm 27. Do you know what I mean? And I've got Lewis, who's 6 at the time, and then we're talking about having another kid, and I'm like, then everything else starts to layer in. Like, I'm taking him to football training, and I'm at that weight, and I've been a lad, and I was, I was a young lad, and your dad this, your mum that, like, it's all banter. But I'm like, I don't want him to be, I'm dropping him off at high school, and it's like, wow, your dad can't even get out of his car, or it's parents' evening, and I wouldn't just be sitting on a normal, like, it's like you say, it's a big weight. You're not sitting on a normal chair. It's a whole new world. So I think it just all hit me when I saw the number, and I was like, right, let's get this weight off. And again, from the start, it was never a case of, I'm going to lose this weight and then I'm going to carry on and then I'm going to get qualified and I'm going to help other. It was never that. It was just a case of, like you say,
a process, like a journey.
Yeah, it was just like life. I need to sort of protect my life and the people that I care about. I don't want them to be worried about me, because, like you say, that's, being the age that I was, is like, it was only going one way. It wasn't going the other way unless I did something about it. So yeah, I started doing something about it. That was October 2020.
You got that in your head.
Yeah. That just, yeah.
That cathartic
penny dropped. Yeah.
Day that you knew.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, I know it's a bit of a tangent this, mate, but it just kind of came to me. It's like, what is your relationship with, I had a guy in the other day talking about addiction counselling. He's an addiction counsellor.
Yeah.
And he's got a really sort of don't be a weak cunt mentality.
Okay.
It took me aback a little bit, to be honest, and kind of, but I look, he gets results and I'm like, it's more that, what is your sort of relationship with the word fat?
Okay.
And calling one of your clients, look, you're fat, we need to get it sorted out.
Yeah.
How do you approach somebody who was at your weight?
Yeah.
And is it different for everybody? Or, I don't know, the world seems to be soft around the word calling somebody fat, but we need to get this sorted.
Yeah.
What's your...
I think it's a big part of it, and I suppose this applies to every lens of coaching, is knowing the person that you're working with, because I've got a broad range of clients, from people who come to me and go, I'm a fat bastard, help me get myself sorted. Right. You know, I'm not as a fat bastard as you were, but I'm still a fat, I don't want to be a fat. And when they lead with that, I might then use that back at them. And then not so much in everyday conversation, but when it's a Tuesday afternoon and I've not heard from them since Friday and I've sent them a few messages.
Well, this is motivation, not putting someone down. The language when you're saying the word fat is motivating them to kind of go, right.
And I'd mirror them. I wouldn't lead with that, because I again take myself back to me in that flat the day before I stood on them scales, and I don't always think that I wouldn't have even been saved, because I don't think if I'd have met me now, who I am today, then I'd have gone, the fuck are you talking to me for, mate? I'm all right. I've got a missus. I don't need to worry about Luke. I'm fine. I'm young. And then again, all these excuses I made for years. I used to play rugby. I'm all right. I can walk up the stairs, and I've gone around the world, and I've done this and I've done that. I'm all right. Don't worry about me. But so whenever I'm working with a client, new or existing, I always just, even like with people, because I've done a lot of relationship building, like I say, through my career, is like, it's understanding that person, and that some people need that you're doing really well, when ultimately what they've done is exactly what they should be doing. They need that you're doing really well. And some people also need the data. They need everyone need different things work for everyone. But to go back to your point about the word fat, is I think because of that, I think obviously growing up, being the size that I was growing up, name calling, I went to an all boys school as well. So I think it was what was banter, and some of the stuff that we used to say to each other was ridiculous, brutal. People, brutal, but never would say, I got bullied at school. And I still see the lads now, and they'll go, bloody, help me out. And it's ironic that they'll go, mate, I'm trying to lose a bit of weight. What would you do? Or do you eat this? Or they'll message me and go, what do you think about this? Or I've just listened to this podcast. What do you think? So I think that's quite a good full circle moment, but it still does take me back to being that person sat there in denial in his own little world when I hear the word fat, because like you say, the connotations of it are so negative. But ultimately, like you say, to call a spade, if someone's overweight, they are fat, and it should be, like your man there has that stance of like, don't be weak. I'm like, there is an element of that, and I probably tune into that myself a little bit as well, because I think to the point of addiction, that's another, suppose, chapter in my story that closed in after I started everything else, and not till August 2021. So I'd had nearly a year of all this positivity coming into my life with weight loss, but crippling gambling addiction. So I've done work with companies, there's a few lads local, so I don't know if you know Muzza, Mark Murray.
Wise Up. Yeah.
So and a company called Epic as well. So I think that for me is like, it's a bigger part of my journey is the addiction going, because what actually happened when I started losing the weight is all the external validation I was getting from people I've not seen, my family, my friends, people, anyone around you, because with weight, you see it really quickly. So you're like, especially when I'm that big, and then all of a sudden 3 or 4 stone flies off in a month or two, and you start, mate, you're looking well, and I've seen you doing these walks, and good on you. And I think when you're the size that I was, people want to go out of the way to compliment it. Even the guy in the street, the guy in the shop, the guy in the in the pub, the guy in the bookies, they want to say, mate, wow, you're looking well, like keep going, mate, keep going. But I think that ironically fueled the little devil in me that's going, keep gambling, no one sees this gambling.
That
no
self-sabotage.
One yes, it was being fed by the external validation. Because it's like, actually, all these people are saying you're doing well, so it's almost like, well, bet a bit more, move that money about, lie about that, be a bit deceitful. And that's when I think that really...
Because you're not good enough.
Yeah, because I don't deserve this external validation. Maybe that's, like you say, to go into it. Maybe I don't deserve all this external validation, and I'm continuing to work hard on my physical, but as my physical health is improving, my mental health's deteriorating, and I'm going further and further to my own head of, this world of gambling and gambling on things I'd never gamble on because there's no horse racing on, and the horse racing comes back, and then everything was then, fair game and football and slot, and it got under the surface was just bubbling and bubbling, but to everyone else it's like,
Ojo's doing well,
smashing it. Ojo, have you seen him? He's losing this weight. Have you seen him? He's doing this. He's he's on these what? And then actually what's happening under the surface, unbeknownst to anyone, including my missus, is this gambling addiction is just ramping up to the point where August 2021 went out for my birthday just in town, and I remember I had like 200 quid left to my name, and I remember leaving the bar that I was in. It was 2:20 race, put 200 quid on a horse, came second, so I literally had nothing. It was the 10th of the month, so I had no way of paying any bills. So I thought, what like, it was red, minor, like everything, all the levers had been pulled. So I thought, what can I do here? There's nothing I can possibly do. So then obviously on that day I was like, I've just got to get smashed here. So straight away I got back in there, and I'm like to all my mates, come on, get me, it's my birthday, So that night was a write-off. And then I just remember waking up in the morning, all the sort of anxiety hits, looking at my bank, blah, 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 blah. And I went round to my mum's house and sat down with her, and I just remember it being about 4:30 in the afternoon the next day, and I just told her everything about the gambling. So she was like, what? Because she's always known that I'd like to bet, but she's, I suppose, older to it, which is probably resonates with a lot of people's mums anywhere near my age, where she speaks to her mates at work and they're like, oh yeah, they all love a bet, they're on the accumulators, or they're all on the horses or whatever. And any time I'd be watching a race, she'd go, oh, what have you had on that, love? I'd go £1 each way. It was always the joke.
So like she's part of it as well.
Yeah, it was just always the joke is £1 each way. So she'd go, but she's not daft. So she'd go, well, that's even money. So you've not put £1 each way on that, have you? You're not jumping up and down celebrating if you've just put £1 each way on an even. Why would you put that? And I'm like, oh, don't worry about Mum, we'll be all right. And then when I got into the numbers with her and was like, that was the only way it was ever going to work, was got into the numbers with her, said, look, Mum, that's the reality of it. She burst into tears and was like, I can't believe I've not seen this. I said, no, it's not you. It's not on you. I've not lived here for however long, and it's not on you. This is on me. This is my thing that I need to take control of. And then started just tried for weeks, was really struggling, and then got some professional help, went through a long course of CBT, and I think that going into that, and as I'm sure you're aware, going into childhood and relationships and lack of relationships and clinging on to different things, and that going to that depth really helped me sort of propel, not just with the addiction, again, August 2021 was the last time I placed a bet, but having that understanding of why I do things and why I'd
relationship with food
and how I'd, as you can imagine, the depths that you get into at that kind of level, just then kind of made me like, right, this is a new phase then, where that's put to one side and I can focus more on my health. And that was when, sort of in the midst of all that going on, I've still juggled being employed, but I made the decision in probably about September 2021 that I was like, fuck this, I'm sick of the rat race, I'm sick of jumping through hoops. And I think for years, in the feeling sorry for myself, being 30 odd stone, being a gambling addict, I'd given myself so many excuses, whether it was race, oh well, it's because my face don't fit that I'm not getting that promotion, or because that manager doesn't like me because he's known me since I was a kid and he doesn't think I can do it because I'm too young. Making all these excuses instead of looking myself in the mirror and going, well, actually, when I'm wasting half my time watching races, or when I'm not committed like these other guys are, I'm not going to conferences, I'm not getting external I'm not going and doing courses that other people around me are doing, that are getting these, I'm making these excuses of, oh, it's got to be something to do with something else. So then I made the decision, I need this, I can't give myself the excuse. So then I went self-employed as a business management consultant. I had absolutely no idea how I was going to make it work.
Why did you choose that?
I think from people that I was around to at this point, so June I joined David Lloyd, 2021. So I'm starting to then speak to different people, understand, and I'm, you know, having these conversations, and I'm thinking, I need to do something where there's no real, like, I can't hide behind an excuse. I was sick of the, you know, do this, do that, tick this box, and in 3 months' time we'll sit. So I thought, what can I make work? Started having these conversations, and then speaking to smaller business owners who were like, you know, I could do with someone to do this, but I've only got this. And I'm thinking, right, well, if you pay me that for a day, I could do that 1 day a week, and then I'd only need 1, 2, 3 maybe of those, and then I'd be able to pay all my bills. I could train at the gym as much as I wanted, and I wouldn't have to deal with the corporate nonsense. So then that's how it started, really. I was like, well, would you pay me that to do that for 1 day a week? Oh yeah, that'll work for me. And then another guy then that I'd spoke to that I'd worked with years prior to, I was like, do you still do a bit of like the consulting? He went, yeah, why'd you ask? I had a chat with him. He went, well, I've got a few days work a month for you if you want, and it'd be at that a day. So I'm doing the maths thinking, hello, that'll work. I can make that work, and then use the rest of my time to keep in the gym and keep on the not getting caught up with the gambling.
How fulfilling was that work for you?
I think from a bigger picture point of view, really fulfilling, but not from a, the work itself wasn't fulfilling me. It was fulfilling because it was a piece of the puzzle. It was giving me the freedom to be able to get up in the morning and go to the gym and not have to worry about being in London for 9 o'clock or being in the centre of town for 9 o'clock, but had that freedom to be like, actually I can train, and maybe I can have a bit of a sauna, and maybe I can sit and talk to these guys.
Just give you choices.
Yeah, it was just giving me that freedom that was like eliminating the pressure that potentially had led me down these dark paths before, whether it's the eating or the gambling, that whole, you know, chase, right, pressure, I need to make some money, let me go and put a bet on, or let me go and do this. It was almost like, let's dial life back. And for someone, I suppose it's funny because I speak to people, and, you know, I'm sure you know people similar who are older than me who go, you talk like you're retired, and I'm like, I don't, but my priorities in life is like my mental health and well-being, my physical health and my well-being, and that of my family. So, you know, I feel that I wasn't a super high flyer, but for years I was just chasing money. I was just chasing a wage. I wasn't chasing any job satisfaction. I wasn't chasing any fulfillment. I was like, I want to get the next 10 grand, the next 10 grand, into the next bracket. And it's like the main reason I was doing that is because I was like, I wanted to fund my gambling and also tick this box in my head that's been missing of like you say, that self-validation of earning this much money is good, and that's how you show that your worth is what your salary is. Yeah. And then actually when you dial it all back and you go, no, actually it's not. It's I get up in the morning and I don't feel stressed, and I'm not strapped down by any addiction. I'm free to live my life. And then so I carried on doing the consulting, and then did a contract this time last year that was based out of London. So I was traveling to London every other week, which again, at the start, because I hadn't done it for so long, I loved it. You know, I'm on the train, I'm in Shoreditch. It's, you know, we're having quirky bites to eat in this mad office where you can't pay for now. And I'm like, wow, this is a far cry from any office I've ever been in. But then it gets to 6 months contract, and the same stuff starts creeping in. It's politics. It's what am I doing? I can feel myself slipping back to Ojo of years ago, where I'm now thinking, you know, why is this? And I'm better than, and I thought, this isn't serving me. So when I finished that, had a little bit of money, not loads, but I'm just having a conversation, just again going back to drawing board, having a chat with someone, and he just said, what do you want to do? Like, what if you said to me now, what's your dream job? Your dream job, you write it now, what you get paid to do within reason. You know, you want to go manage Man United, you want to go and play for Man, you know, what's your realistic dream job? I said, I'd love to, like, people who I was years ago, physically and mentally, I'd love to put my arm around them and tell them, not only, to your point earlier, not only you can't tell me it can't be done because I've fucking done it, but also, you know, listen to me, do what I did, and you can get all this benefit that I've got. And then he just sort of put me on my toes and said, why don't you do that then? So I'm like, yeah, but you know, where would I start? Yeah, and then I'm making it, then I go back, and then he's then unpicking this, and then as I'm talking to him, he's like, so what you're telling me is you need to get qualified, you need to set a profile up, and you need to find clients. What you waiting for? Yeah. So then I was just like, do you know what, mate? Yeah, fair enough. Then started looking into it.
When was that?
That was this time last February 24.
Wow.
And then I remember when went live, got my first 2 clients started the 1st of April 24. And then from there it's just been a roller coaster. It's just. But
are you proud of yourself, Oj?
I think I'm getting to that point now, and this was a conversation I was having. I think through the weight loss, because you say it's so visible and people, wait, you've got to be so proud, and it's kind of a bit like going back to that, maybe a bit of imposter syndrome, where it's like, but mate, and that for a while was my go-to thing, like, mate, you've lost so much weight. I'm like, yeah, but how big was I to start? I'm still a big guy, I've still got weight to lose. And then like now as it goes beyond just weight loss to fitness and then running, and I'm around my mates who have, were the lads who were on the football team at school, like the cool kids, and I'm looking at their running times and I'm faster than them. So now it's like, oh wait, it's gone full circle now, where it's not just the big guy that lost weight. And I think that's now getting to the point where, again, getting to end of year 1, we're doing the coaching, and when I see that it works and I get the results with clients and I get messages, you've changed my life, and I'm like, wow, this is, now I'm starting to get to a point where I'm like, I'm proud of myself, but it's also motivating me to what's next. Do you know what I mean? So running these marathons and then showing someone who is 30 odd stone, like there's, in your lifetime, you can completely change it round to a point where people pay you for advice on how to lose weight, and you can talk about you've ran multiple marathons. And I think that's now where my mind is, and I think that's why doing this job that I'm doing now, and I say, and it's funny because like I say, I've been lucky, I've not been lucky, I've worked hard and I've done the right things, so that's now what I'm doing as a job, and it doesn't feel like work in the best way, because I'm like, well, I enjoy it. So when I go on and I see that, a month worth of client data and it's like they're losing weight, or someone, me, I've lost, I can't believe it, I didn't expect to lose weight this quick. I'm like, good. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's satisfying. That's I suppose is the why 12 months ago, 13 months ago, when I had that conversation about, what would a dream job be for you? It is that whole, helping other people change their lives through my own experience. And like I said, I touched on that on the gambling side of things, but this to me felt a bit like, it's not definitely no disrespect to anyone who's been through addiction and overcome it, but I think I realised through conversations and my own self-reflection and doing more work on that, and like you say, trying to pat myself on the back more, like, well, actually, to be 30 odd stone and then now be training for a marathon is a lot more unique than having had an addiction and then supporting people get over it. So I thought, not only with a business head, I thought, well, I should leverage what's more unique, but also I should appeal to the smaller group, because there isn't people like me out there going, you can do it. And especially now in this, I suppose it's a topic for its own, the Ozempics and the Mounjaros that are out there in the world that are rammed down everyone's throat, and GMTV and ITV. I think me trying to zoom back to being the person I was, of course you'd probably think, what, so I just take this, I can go with my doctors and get it, and it's guaranteed that I'll lose weight. It's like, that scares me, because I think, well, actually, but also you can do it naturally. It's fucking hard, it takes work, and like you say, that don't be weak is like, it does take work, and there'll be months and months and months where you think it's not worth it, but you can get there, because I did. So why can I get there from where I was? But there's people that are way a lot less than I did who would give up and say, I need to go on these jabs, or I'll just let depression take over, or let addiction take over. And you just think that I don't feel there's enough voice of just come and do it the natural way. And so that's, I guess, what I want to do really, and just keep spreading my message to say to people, it can be done, whether that's with me as your coach or with me as your inspiration. Fucking hard work pays off, and that's applicable to weight loss, life, everything. It's, you get out what you put in, but it's not going to happen.
Without the CBT, without that inner child work, would you be here sat before me having this conversation?
I think that's a good question. I think maybe, but maybe not with the reasons behind it that I'm sat here now. Maybe I'd be sat here more in my ego than like, oh, well, actually, I deserve to be here. And, maybe I'd be more, well, of course I'm going to be here because I've lost this weight. Whereas actually I'm like, I suppose I've probably got more down the spiritual thing of like, well, I'm here because I was always meant to be here, because this is now the path that I'm on, and the reason I'm here, and and there's so many things that happen like randomly in life that you just think, well, it was all meant to happen. Like I was saying to you, even parking here today, doing a loop, thinking, well, where am I going to park? And it's 10 to, and I don't want to be late. Then someone just pulls out directly over the road. It's like, that's whatever divine intervention that is, that was always going to happen. I was always going to be able to just park my car right outside, and it wasn't going to be a tight space that meant I was flapping and coming in here stressed. It was a big space that a big car had parked daft, so I could just pull in, come over and be here on time. So it's just all these little things that keep happening. I'm like, well, it's not a coincidence that I'm trying to give out this positivity to the world, and it's coming back to me. So, you know, I'm not a millionaire, I'm not retiring anytime soon. So, but it's also having that level of understanding to know that that's not what being rich is. Like having all the money in the world and having the nicest car, that's just that's like a misconception to me of being rich. Like being rich is, you know, how happy are you? How in control of your own mind are you? Like how much of a role model are you to your kids and the people around you? That's wealth. Do you know what I mean? Because I know people that have got all the money in the world and they've got no depth to the life. Do you know what I mean? They've got nice cars, they go on nice holidays, and you think, well, for what?
That's what rich means to me. Depth.
Yeah.
Richness to your life. Richness.
Yeah.
Beautiful people around you. Everybody's, you know, I mean, you talked about that vibrational, you know, having people around you like that. Yeah. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because when to go back to your question about the inner child work, I think the vulnerability that comes from tuning into potentially accepting that, not like you say, that element of control. So it's not an excuse. And I think when I've spoken to people and people who are a bit flippant about inner child work, they'll say, yeah, but you're just finding excuses for your actions. So theoretically you have an affair, but then you go and do this CBT and it tells you that it's because your mum and dad had this love language when you were a kid it's making it, and it's like, no, it's not making an excuse. And I think if you go into it to find excuses for your actions, you're going into it for the wrong reason anyway. You've got to go into it to find its reason. It's not an excuse. It's not like, well, because that happened to me when I was a kid, now for the rest of my life I can get away with displaying this behaviour. That's why you might have chosen to react to a situation like that, but what can you put in place, whether it's meditation, training, conversation therapy, whatever it is you need to do so that doesn't happen again. But once you're aware of it, then that's when the world opens up.
Yeah, it's like I phrase it to people, shadow work, and it's like, fucking hell, what's that?
You
know what I mean? It's the same fucking thing.
You
know what I mean? Just asking yourself some hard questions, like really hard fucking questions. Like I'd always say the other day, like if people really knew what personal branding was, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's brutal.
Yeah.
Like, and people think it's, I need to turn up, have an Instagram like this, and I need to curated feed, and my logo looks like I'm when it's fucking nothing to do with that.
It's who you are as a person, isn't it?
And you got to go deep with it.
Yeah. And I think there's, I suppose for men and in general, I think people are sometimes, because I've even conversations with millionaires I've had where they've said, if I was you, I wouldn't be as honest as you are with the depth of your story, and don't go into the gambling and don't go into the, your childhood. And I'm like, that's the second I'm not authentic is the second that it doesn't work, because someone will call the bullshit out. So if I come on here and present myself to be hard-faced, not to, and giving that impression of weak this, weak that, and again, it's no disrespect to anyone that goes down that route, but I'm sick of seeing fat bastards, and I'm here to tell people as an ex-fat bastard, you don't need. If I give off that and someone sees that, but then they start talking to me and I'm going, oh mate, I understand things are hard, like, of course I get it, I've got kids, then they're like, well, wait a minute. So I'm like, well, I'll just be me, and if it works for you, fantastic, but if it doesn't, I'm not bending who I am to suit you. And I think, to your point on personal branding, I think at the start it can be quite easy to almost be like, I've got to take what I can get because I've got to pay the bills, and all that pressure that comes in, where people maybe bend who they are and what they do, and it's like, actually, you've got to just be who you are, because it all comes out in the wash anyway. So either you do it up front and you only work, you minimise all the stress of trying to put a front on, or it's going to come round to bite you on the arse anyway. So you might as well just be straight up from the start. And I think what's happened with me over the last year is, as the results have come through and people have done 3 and 6 and 9 months and got the results and shared before and afters and given me feedback, and I think that then fuels the, it turns down that imposter syndrome voice where you think, well, actually, these people have followed exactly what I've told them to do with no knowledge before, and they've lost weight. So if I have someone who joins the program who doesn't talk to me, who doesn't lose weight, it's not because of me, it's because of them. You know what I mean? So it's that thing of like, it's not on me. Like, I'm not going to save everyone, and it's not going to work for everyone. And you're going to have clients that are really successful and clients that aren't. And I think in the first phase of this in particular, because it was close to my heart, I was like, if it doesn't work with someone, it's my fault and I'm not good enough. But that's probably come full circle now, where I'm like, I know it works now. Here's all the proof. Here's my social proof that it works. So if it's not working, it's because you're not listening, not in an aggressive way, but are we communicating every day? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing every day? And if the answer to those is yes, then I can then take the accountability. But what I'm starting to find is the ones that talk and do what they're supposed to do, it works, and the ones that don't. And no matter what I do to them to be like, oh, look, mate, you've paid this money and I really want you to get the value. Yeah. It's like, for them, I think they might sleep better at night knowing, well, I've paid this money. Yeah. So they've ticked a box in their head of, I care about my health, but they're not ready for it. Yeah. And it's like, I can only do so much to weed them people out and continue to develop my consultation call. But, you know, the reality of life is that some people will wake up on a Tuesday, have a conversation, be over the moon, like, let's do it, pay the money. Then if they have a bad day that turns into a bad week, I can't do anything to pull them out of that hole. I can try my best, but I think at the start I was almost kicking myself if that happened, like, oh, it's because I'm not good enough and what does everyone else do? And then I just zoom out and think, well, actually, these might come back in, which has actually happened ironically, and, you know, not speak to me for 6 weeks or 3 months and then come back and go, I wasn't in the right place, I had X, Y and Z going on. You know, I'm sorry for wasting your time. And it's like, you're not wasting my time, let's have another chat. Maybe now you're ready, but, you know,
it's the same thing happens with us. Like we were talking about this morning, Betty, and we've got some Facebook ads running. Yeah. And you can see when these people are filling it in, and they're like, you know, it's about changing the business and, like, you know, really stepping forward into it. So in that moment, they'll be all right, cool. Betty gets them on the phone, they're all excited, and then all of a sudden they just drop off and try to get hold of them. And you know, the emotion and the psychology that they've gone through, they're ready for it just then. And then all of a sudden and then Betty's questions are, am I doing something wrong? You know, like, it's nothing to do with you, Betty. It's that person in that psychological state. 100%. Yeah, one day we just like, today's the day I'm going to kick its ass and I'm going to build my business, and then all of a sudden, rip.
Yeah, it goes. And I think that's the, like you say, to that point there, is that it's quite empowering when the more, like, you know, teach you to suck eggs, but the more times you do it successfully, and like the more case studies you get where you go, you know, this was before, this is after, this is the process, this is the feedback, what do you think? And then you get that across to someone. Oh mate, I'm all over it. How much? I'm well worth it. I'm going to set this money aside, I've got them. And then all of a sudden, like you say, whether out of your control, they get deflated, and you, like, that's when you sort of then start questioning, like, should I have got them on that call? And you're like, well, no, actually, because in the long run, they'd have probably been a nightmare to work with anyway.
Yeah, because they weren't ready. The inner child kicks in. I'm like, fucking, what if I do this and I get that and I'm going to fail? You know, all that comes in. So I understand that. All I say to Betty is just, please, whatever you do from that call, just get them on our Instagram. Yeah. Because like you, I want to give value. Yeah. And if you're not ready right now, if you're ready in a year, and these videos are finding you, and you just go, you know what, I'm ready now. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
The psychological side of it, man. That's why I was so thinking about how far do you think you would have come without the CBT? Yeah. Because you know what I mean, mate, your heart's open. Yeah. It's beautiful to see, it's beautiful to feel. And I wondered, would it be as open without that CBT?
Yeah. No, I think it's, I don't think I could be, I would be doing a disservice to the impact it had on me to say it would be, because I don't think it would be. And that's what I'd say to a lot of, like, I'd say to everyone, do it. I think it's work that whichever method you go down to go into yourself is beneficial, no matter where you're at in life. I think you don't really find many people that regret doing that type of work, do you? They always seem to say, for one reason or another, it's hard and it hurts, but, you know, it takes you to a place that you needed to go to with that perspective. So, it's interesting, and I think it's, you know, it's something that I can't see myself going. I've got a lot of sort of like I've done mental health first day. I like to, especially as a big guy, as I say big guy, as in a man, a confident, outgoing guy, is like I like to, and there's a lot more voice for it now, men's mental health and talking and, you know, men doing things that aren't masculine, quote unquote. I'll always talk about that, and especially like to my son, he's 10, I'll say it's okay to cry, but cry for a reason. Don't cry for no reason. You know, your tears are precious, emotion, and what emotion means, and why are you crying, and then it's that why, you know, why are you doing that, you know, what made you, why, okay, why is it annoyed you that he's winding you up, why is it, and then when you get to it, it's like, oh, so it annoyed you, he's winding you up because you didn't try your best, and you were playing football, and he went round you, and you gave up. So the real reason is because you didn't try hard enough. So the moral of the story is, if you try hard, why are you bothered what anyone else thinks? Oh yeah, I get that now. And it's like
conversations.
But just, you know, and even that's with a 10-year-old, it's easy because he looks up to me, so it's easy.
What a gift you're going to be giving him, mate.
I'll try and do that with my mates as well. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's to do with the you know, the relationships, work, you know, and because a lot of the time I think it's quite common themes, and I hear a lot of who I was in a lot of, you know, I'm not getting given any shifts, and he's getting all these shifts. All right, why does he get the shift? And it's just that why, and you when you start stripping it back and you take that first reaction, you go,
it's like it's fucking down
well,
on me.
Is it because you maybe you could have done, but you know, like, is it because he turned up on Christmas Eve and you didn't turn up on Christmas Eve, and you know, but all the lads were out and I didn't go out drinking, but I didn't go right. But did he? Yeah. So why do you think they chose him? Oh, right. Yeah. You know, and it's just little. So it's again just always encouraging people to question. Question, and not always just use the easy. It's not my fault. I'm not taking any responsibility, because I think with
so easy go there and it play the victim mentality.
It's
not my fault.
Of course it is. And I think with fitness, and now coming on to running in particular, is there's no hiding place. So you can look at these runners, marathon runners that run crazy times, do crazy training, but the reality of it is anyone can get out and go for a run. So if you've got kids, you could, very worst case, if you've got the most unique set of circumstances where you can't get out of your house, you could buy a treadmill. Oh, I can't afford a treadmill. You can get a treadmill off Facebook. You could get someone to deliver it for, it won't be the best treadmill, but there's always, and that's what I'm finding with running is and it's just like you versus you. So you go out and you do a run, whatever the distance is, and the next time you do it, there's your target. It's all you bettering you. It's not. Whereas I think with the gym, I was just talking to Betty about it there, is like sometimes it can get overwhelming where you're like, well, he's a big guy and he's lifting all them plates, and you get that bit of, it's like, I'm running at, this is my day one. That might be their day 10,000. So actually, is it more impressive that you're doing that now than them doing that 5, 6, 7 years in? Well, actually, it is. And in 5 or 6, 7 years, you'll be maybe beyond that. And if you're not, it's because that's not for you. You might pivot and do something else. You might want to start cycling. But it's like with the running, I'm finding now is like, it's good because I'm doing it for me, and it's against me. As much as you've got gauges of everyone else, it's like, well, actually, no, it's on me here, and I can do this and do this recovery and just keep going at it. So it's good. And also what happens, which is quite unique for me, is when I'm out and I'm doing a run, I'm not thinking about anything but the next step that I'm taking in front of me. And I think that's a blessing for someone whose mind works like mine, with 1,000,001 things going on, is like to dial it back to be like one foot in front of the other and make sure that I can breathe, and I'm breathing properly, and I'm not getting all these thoughts that are overwhelming. It's and it's probably similar to going for a walk in the countryside as well, where if it's wet and you think, well, I can't take a misstep here because I'm going to sprain my ankle. So all you're thinking about is that rock and that bit of moss, and then all of a sudden you're at the top of a hill somewhere, and you're like, oh, this is quite nice, isn't it? I'm in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful. So
yeah, it's a good lesson to be learned. That I do like a lot of hiking and mountain, and like don't focus on the top. Focus on that step in the front of each other. Then when you're at the top, you're like, wow, I kind of made it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So if people want to get in touch with you, mate, and book in with you, how do they find you?
So Instagram. So I think, funnily enough, Instagram's become, like the I didn't imagine when I set up, I thought it'd be all LinkedIn, but through Instagram. I've got a website as well. But to your point earlier, Instagram, I think I share try and share value on there. You know, there's more to come in terms of client updates, and I'll share videos on, you know, little tips here and there, and, you know, my own journey. So I think that Instagram is a great place to catch me. That's that on Weight Loss with Ojo, and then through there, drop me a message. We can have a chat. And I think traditionally, and you speak to these, you see all these, get 100 clients online now, and they'll bombard. I will send messages to people, but only if it's comes naturally. I'm not, I think I've been through phases. Like if I get a new follower, I'm not bombarding them straight away with a, "Hi mate, nice, thanks for following, do you want to jump on a call? Do you want me to check?" Like that's not me. I'm stepping away from that, but I'll continue to share what I'm doing, and I'll often put a story to say, "Look, do you want to have a chat?" And I think from that first conversation, that potential client and me will know if it's going to work anyway. So, if you are interested, if it resonates with you, let's have a chat, and see if we can get things working, get things moving.
Appreciate it, mate.
No, I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, what, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner, what.